On a summer morning in Idaho, a mother watched her daughter leave with the family dog for a quick morning walk, not knowing it would be the last time she'd see either of them. Police searches turned up nothing, volunteers found no clues, and the case grew colder with each passing week. But then 12 months later, a hunter tracking elk with thermal imaging technology captures something on his drone, triggering a chain of events that would expose a nightmare beyond anyone's darkest imagination. The doorbell's sharp chime cut through the early morning quiet like a blade. Marissa Ewing wrapped her robe tighter around herself as she padded to the front door, her bare feet cold against the hardwood. Through the peephole, she saw Detective Marcus Holbrook standing on her porch, his breath visible in the crisp Idaho air. Her heart immediately plummeted. In the years since Adrian had vanished, every unexpected visit from law enforcement carried the weight of potential finality. Detective Holbrook, she said as she opened the door, unable to keep the tremor from her voice. Have you found Mrs. Ewing? May I come in? I have news about your daughter's case. She stepped aside wordlessly, leading him to the living room, where Adrian's junior year school photo still held prominence on the mantel. The detective's expression was unreadable as he settled into the armchair across from her. Early this morning, we received a call from a hunter named Dale Morrison. Detective Holbrook began pulling out his tablet. He was using a thermal drone to track elk migration patterns in the Coeur d'Alene National Forest when his equipment picked up an unusual heat signature. Marissa's hands clenched in her lap. What kind of heat signature? At first Mr. Morrison thought it was a coyote. The thermal imaging showed a medium-sized animal tied to a tree deep in the forest. But when he maneuvered the drone closer for a better look, the detective turned the tablet to her, showing grainy thermal footage. The body shape and size were clearly that of a domestic dog, a golden retriever, to be specific. The world tilted. Marissa gripped the arm of the couch. Buddy, we believe so. The hunter immediately contacted us, and we dispatched a team. Mrs. Ewing, somehow, after an entire year, your daughter's dog is still alive. That's impossible, Marissa whispered. How could he survive that long? Where's Adrian? Is she? We're mobilizing search teams immediately, Detective Holbrook said quickly. Every available unit is being deployed to that area, but I need to tell you that the dog has already been rescued. He's at the Northern Idaho Emergency Veterinary Clinic on Highway 95. He's alive, Mrs. Ewing, and from what the rescue team reported, he's been cared for. Marissa was already standing, her mind racing. Cared for? What do you mean, cared for? I think it's best if you see for yourself. I can drive you there now, if you'd like. 20 minutes later, they pulled into the veterinary clinic's parking lot. Marissa barely waited for the detective to park before she was out of the car, rushing through the glass doors. The receptionist, recognizing the urgency in her face, immediately led them back to an examination room. Dr. Sarah Chen, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, was bent over a golden retriever on the examination table. Even from behind, even after a year, Marissa knew it was Buddy. His coat was matted in places, his frame thinner. But it was unmistakably him, Mrs. Ewing. Dr. Chen said gently, stepping aside. He's sedated right now, just to keep him calm while we examine him, but he's going to be okay. Marissa's hands shook as she reached out to touch Buddy's fur. He was real, warm, breathing alive. How she managed to ask? Dr. Chen's expression grew puzzled. That's what's remarkable about this case. Despite obvious trauma and the circumstances, Buddy shows clear signs of regular feeding. Over the past year, when we pumped his stomach, we found recent food looks like dry dog food, probably from within the last 12 hours. His body condition is actually relatively good, all things considered. Someone has definitely been caring for him. Someone was keeping him alive, Detective Holbrook said quietly. The question is who and why. Marissa's fingers found the rope burns around Buddy's neck, fresh and roared, "These marks, yes, from being tied to the tree." "But look here," Dr. Chen pointed to Buddy's collar. "This isn't the collar he was wearing when he disappeared." "Is it?" Marissa stared at the blue collar plain and tagless number. "He had a red leather collar with his tags, his name, our address, my phone number. This is different. Someone changed it," Detective Holbrook said, making notes. "Someone who didn't want him identified if he was found too soon. But why keep him alive at all?" Marissa asked, her voice breaking. "If someone took Adrian, why feed her dog for a year? Why tie him up where he could be found?" The detective's jaw tightened. "Those are questions we intend to answer. The search teams are already converging on the area where Buddy was found. If Adrienne is out there, if there's any trace of her, we'll find it." Dr. Chen gently stroked Buddy's head. "He's been through a lot, but he's a fighter. I'd like to keep him here for observation for at least 24 hours, run some more tests, but physically he's going to recover." Marissa nodded numbly, unable to tear her eyes away from the dog who had been her daughter's constant companion. Buddy had been Adrian's 16th birthday present. Just 2 years ago, they'd been inseparable, taking their morning walks together every Saturday without fail, until that Saturday morning last July when neither of them came home. "Mrs. Ewing," Detective Holbrook said softly, "this is the strongest lead we've had. Someone kept this dog alive for a reason. That someone knows what happened to Adrienne." As Marissa stood in that sterile examination room, watching Buddy's chest rise and fall with each sedated breath, she felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in months. Hope, terrible, fragile hope, that somewhere out there someone had kept her daughter as alive as they'd kept her dog. The phone rang just as Marissa was getting home from the veterinary clinic she'd spent the last hour sitting with Buddy, watching his sedated form and trying to process the morning's revelations. Principal Janet Morrison's name appeared on the caller ID. "Marissa, I just heard the news from the police department." Principal Morrison's voice was breathless with urgency about Adrian's dog being found. "The entire Lakeland high school community wants to help. We're organizing volunteer search parties to sweep the forest area where the dog was discovered. We're hoping to find any trace of Adrian." "Janet." Marissa's voice caught. "Thank you. Several teachers are already on their way to your house to coordinate. We're not going to waste a moment. Adrian is one of ours, and we're going to bring her home within 30 minutes. Marissa's quiet suburban home had transformed into a command center. Cars lined the street as teachers, staff, and parent volunteers arrived with maps, first aid kits, and walkie-talkies. Her kitchen table was covered with topographical maps of the Coeur d'Alene National Forest, and someone had set up a coffee station on the counter. Jim Rodriguez, the school's head football coach who was serving as search coordinator, stood at the head of the table with a laser pointer. "All right, everyone, listen up. We're going to divide into teams of 6. Each team will be assigned a grid section radiating out from where Buddy was found." He pointed to a red X on the map. "This is approximately 15 miles northeast of town, near Bunker Road. It's rough terrain." Folks among the gathered volunteers, Marissa noticed Mr. Tobias Chandler, Adrian's AP biology teacher. He stood slightly apart from the others, studying the maps with intense concentration, unlike the other teachers who'd arrived in casual clothes suitable for hiking. Mr. Chandler wore technical gear that looked brand new: moisture wicking shirt, convertible pants, and high-end hiking boots. Mrs. Ewing, Mr. Chandler approached her with a sympathetic expression. "I want you to know how deeply this has affected all of us at school. Adrian is such a special student. Thank you, Mr. Chandler. She always enjoyed your class." His eyes brightened with something that might have been pride. "She's remarkably dedicated to her AP biology studies. I remember her staying after class just last year asking about the prerequisites for pre-med programs. She always wanted to make you proud." Marissa blinked, Surprised by the specific memory, she talked to you about pre-med. Oh yes, quite frequently. She was particularly anxious about getting into University of Washington's program. Said it was her dream school, but she worried her grades might not be competitive. Enough, I assured her, that with her work ethic and natural intelligence, she had nothing to worry about. He paused, his expression growing more intent. She mentioned feeling pressured to succeed, especially after your family's recent changes. The reference to her divorce made Marissa stiffen slightly. She didn't recall Adrian being that open with her teachers about personal matters. I'd like to volunteer to lead search team C. Mr. Chandler announced to the room, pulling out a handheld GPS unit from his backpack. I'll take the Eastern Quadrant. I've been researching search and rescue protocols extensively overnight, and I've brought emergency supplies, flares, emergency blankets, water purification tablets. Coach Rodriguez looked impressed. That's thorough preparation, Tobias. We appreciate the initiative. Mr. Chandler spread out a detailed topographical map he'd apparently printed himself, with elevations and trail markers highlighted. The eastern section has several ravines and dense undergrowth. It requires someone with hiking experience to navigate safely. Where would you like me? Marissa asked, moving closer to the table. Mr. Chandler looked up quickly. Oh, I think you should join Team A heading north. Mrs. Ewing, that terrain is more manageable, mostly established trails. The eastern route, where